There is a powerlifter out there who has done something so insane that it has never been done before him, and in my opinion will never be done again. And I can almost guarantee that you've never heard of this guy. And I say that because even myself, as the most hardcore of powerlifting fans, had never even heard of this guy mentioned anywhere until I took a deep dive into powerlifting stats and world records. The man I'm talking about today is none other than Mr. Bronco Deiranauw from the island nation of Nauru. Now, Bronco competed across 6 weight classes in his lifting career, and he's still lifting today. 6 weight classes in a sport that only has 8 weight classes. It's absolutely crazy and insane that he competed in 3/4 of them. Now, not only did he compete in 6 weight classes, but in one particular lift, he attempted world records in pretty much 4 of them and successfully lifted world records in 2 of them. And the thing is, when I first came across this guy, I'm not going to lie, I thought this was a data entry mistake on open powerlifting. I didn't believe it at first. You know what? Even now, I'm not 100% convinced that this is all just the same guy the whole time. And you're going to see in some photos, but I don't know if anyone has any more information on this guy because he has next to no social media presence apart from a few Facebook posts and, you know, like 1 or 2 Instagram posts and YouTube videos that he made years and years ago. There's very little information on this guy. I could hardly find any footage of his lifts. A lot of his comp lifts, there aren't even any footage of it at all. So yeah, if anyone has more information on this guy, please do let me know. And I don't know, is Bronco Deiranauw a common name in Nauru? Because yeah, the fact that this is all just one guy is almost unbelievable. But he started his career in the 74s. Okay, so he started his career in the 74s and he broke the IPF and overall world record and held it for about a year. And there's a photo of him there as a 74 lifter on the right. Now, following that, he began his journey up the weight classes and he bulked. And he bulked. So he bulked up and he set his next world record in the 105 kilo weight class, breaking the IPF and overall squat world record. So this man was very much a squat specialist. Squat was his lift. That was the lift that he attempted and broke all the world records in. There's a photo of him there as a 105 on the right, and you can already see a pretty big difference from when he was a 74. Although he didn't stop there, he kept bulking, and he is currently a super heavyweight lifter, and you will not believe what his numbers are currently. If you are curious about what his bench, deadlift, and total numbers are, I'm going to go through that at the end of the video as well. But for now, I want to focus on his squat and go through, I guess, the progression of his career and the squats that he was able to achieve. So his first world record squat he did in 2012 with a 233 squat at the 74 kilo weight class. He did this at the Oceania Championships international meet, therefore he counted as an IPF and overall squat world record. And he was 21 years old at the time. Now, 2012, this is probably why we've never really heard of him, because powerlifting was a very young sport back in 2012. And when I say very young, I mean pretty much day one. IPF first went raw in 2012, and that was pretty much the birth date of our, sport of modern raw tested powerlifting as we know it today. So 233 at 74. Now that record was later broken by a Japanese lifter later that year called Toru Ashihara. So the next year in 2013, Bronco took it back with a 247 squat in the 74 kilo weight class. And this was done at IPF Junior Worlds, right? Because remember, he was still a junior at this time. Obviously, international meet. Therefore, again, this counted as the IPF and overall squat world record. Later that year in 2013, he hit a 250 kilo squat in the 74s to extend his own world record. Now, there is actually no footage of this lift anywhere. So there's instead the only footage I could find of him around this time hitting 250 kilos in the gym in the lead up to the Commonwealth Championships that year, which is where he ended up hitting 250. And again, being Commonwealth International meet, IPF and overall 74 kilo squat world record. The crazy thing here was he actually hit 250 on his opener and then missed 255 twice after that, which is pretty insane. Then he began his bulking journey up. So he went up to the 83 kilo class first in 2014. and he hit a 270 kilo squat. Now, he only ever competed once as an 83, and he hit 270. He actually attempted 280.5 for the overall 83 kilo squat world record at the time. The overall 83 kilo squat world record was held by Alexei Nikulin, who did 280 kilos all the way back in 2011. The IPF world record was actually held by Bert Gibbs, also at 280. However, this was not an international meet, so this would have counted as the overall world record. However, he missed it. Now, following this, he actually went back down to 74s one last time to attempt 251 at the Oceania Championships there. However, he missed it, and his 74 kilo world record ended up being broken by Josh Hancock in late 2014. So then in 2016, he moves up again to the 93s, and he squats 303.5 kilos. I believe that photo there is from that competition. However, that is not off the attempt. That's the only attempt I could find. I believe that was his opener at that meet. Now, was this a world record? Technically, no. This is where it gets a bit, weird with IPF and overall world records. The IPF squat world record at the time in the 93s was 303 kilos, which was held by Lane Norton at the time. However, the overall 93 kilo squat world record, which is just the heaviest squat ever done in the weight class, regardless of federation or anything, that was held by Jesse Norris at the time with 340.2. So this competition was not an international. Therefore, it didn't count as an IPF world record. Even though he unofficially beat the IPF world record, it wasn't an overall world record either because Jesse Norris had broken it by more previously. Okay, so that was his 93 kilo journey. Now, he only ever competed once at 83 and 93. So later that year, or the next year, he moved up to the 105s. And this is where he successfully took his next world record. Now you can see there, his bulking transformation is already pretty dramatic compared to what he started off as a 74. That is what he looked like as a 105, squatting 332 kilos, which was the overall world record at the time. He later made that official later that year when he squatted 335, which he did at the Oceania Championships, which again internationally counted. Therefore, it was the IPF and overall 105 kilo squat record. So he took the IPF world record, which was previously held by Garrett Blevins in the 105s. And this world record was eventually broken by Joshua Greenfield in 2018, who squatted 336. And Bronco Deiranauw later attempted 336.5 at 2018 Oceania Championships. However, he missed it. So he missed that, and then he competed again in 2019. He competed another 3 times as a 105. However, he never was able to successfully beat his best squat of 335, nor was he able to reclaim the world record. Now, after 2019, he took a bit of a hiatus from the sport. In fact, we didn't see him lift competitively for another 4 years. So from 2019 to 2023, he doesn't lift. However, he comes back at 2023 as a 125 kilo lifter. Now, why 125? Because after 2019, he left the IPF affiliates and he now lifts in the IPL, or the APL, which is the Australian affiliate of the IPL, which is basically like another international tested federation that claims to hold world championships and whatever, but no world-class lifter really lifts there. It's one of those side federations, I guess. But yes, he came back in 2023 and he competed 5 times in that year as a 125 lifter, so essentially 120 if we're looking at normal weight classes, because for some reason the IPL has the USAPL style weight classes. But he weighed in between like 120 and 125, so it was essentially a 120 lifter. And he squatted 352.5. That was his biggest squat at 125 that he did at the end of 2023. 352.5. Now again, how is that bulking transformation possible? Look at the guy. He's basically morphing into Jezza Uepa. who was another lifter from Nauru, a super heavyweight who was like Ray Williams's arch rival back in the day. And this is where I'm like, is this the same guy? Because as unbelievable as it was that he went from a 74 world record holder to a 105 world record holder in the course of like 4 to 5 years, right? It's even more crazy that 4 years after that, he came back as a 125 lifter. Like, how is that physiologically even possible? I don't know. So this is where I'm almost doubting if it's the same guy. It could well be a different guy, but the ages line up. That's the thing. He's still Bronco Deiranauw. The ages line up. He's 4 years older in 2023 than he was in 2019 when he last competed. He is 32 years old at this point in 2023. Looks like he switched to a bit more of a low bar score, a bit more of a wide stance. But yeah, 352.5 is no longer really super close to the world record if we're looking at 120s, which is around about like 380s. But it's still a high level squat at that. By the way, like if you're a 120 lifter squatting 352.5 in the IPF, like you're one of the best squatters, make no mistake about it. So still an absolutely world-class squat. Then he bulked up again. He decided that 5 weight classes wasn't enough. He went up to his 6th weight class in 2024, where he hit a 380 kilo squat November last year in the 140 kilo weight class, weighing in at 132.3. So for me, that's a super heavyweight. So essentially 120 plus if we're equating it with the real IPF weight classes, not the fake IPL ones. So as a super heavyweight squatting 380, again, not super close to the world record, which is obviously up at 478 for Jesus or 490 from Ray if you're looking at the overall record. But still, a 380 squat as a super heavyweight would be one of the best squats you would see at IPF Worlds from lifters at that level. So he's still absolutely a world-class squatter. And that's the crazy thing. His strength has scaled up through the weight classes. That's what makes absolutely no sense. He went from being a 74 to essentially a super heavyweight. So that is what he looked like as a 74 on the left. And that is what he looks like now on the right as a 140 in the IPL, but really a 120 plus super heavyweight lifter. And I don't know, is that the same guy? I'm genuinely not 100% sure it's the same guy. All indications are that it is, but even now I'm struggling to come to terms with the fact it's the same dude. Absolutely insane. Like I said, if anyone has more detail on anything to do with this guy, please let me know, because absolutely mind-boggling. Now, okay, I promised that I would show you his other numbers. So I've gone through his squat. Those are a recap of his squat numbers. Those are the 6 weight classes he competed in. Again, the 125s and the 140, those are, weird weight classes because of the federation he chose to compete at there. But really, they're essentially 120 and 120 plus weight classes equated to the IPF. So there his squat numbers went through. 250, he went from a 250 squat at a 74, which was a world record at the time, all the way to a 380 squat. So he added about 60 kilos of body weight and 130 kilos on his squat. And the crazy thing is, it was a world record at 74. He attempted a world record at 83. That 303.5 was an unofficial world record. It just wasn't done at an international meet to officially count as one. That 105 335 squat was an IPF and overall world record. And then those numbers that you see there at the bottom, like I said, 352.5 as a 120, 380 as a 120 plus, are really still competitive numbers even today in the top leagues of the IPF. Okay, so what about his bench? These are his bench numbers. So he started off with 140, then he went up, and biggest jump was probably from 93 to 105. Keep in mind, he only ever competed once as an 83 and once as a 93. So there's not as much data in those in-between weight classes. But it looks like his bench strength kind of capped out at just over 200 kilos, which again is pretty crazy because, like I said, the thing that makes him so insane is, okay, he bulked 6 weight classes, right? But the part of that I don't think will be done, first of all, I don't think anyone's going to compete in 6 weight classes again. So that's already there. But the other thing is, I don't think anyone is going to be able to set a world record 3 weight classes apart. The guy had a 74 and a 105 world record in the squat. Who else is going to do that? That would be, I guess, Shell if he drops down to 59 because he has an 83 deadlift world record. So if he drops to 59 and takes a record there, he could hold world records 3 weight classes apart. But, I mean, Agatha Shitko is probably the other one if she drops to 63 and takes the bench world record. But yeah, I honestly don't think we're ever going to see anyone on the men's side take a world record 3 weight classes apart and compete in 6 different weight classes. Absolute insanity. So there's his squat and his bench. You know, squat and bench are the lifts you would expect to go up as you go up in weight class, although I don't know anyone would expect it to go up with that much weight gain. Like, you would think it would plateau. You would think his strength would plateau, and after a while he would just be adding useless body fat. Clearly wasn't the case. Obviously, you know, his body composition drastically changed, as you could see from the photos, but his strength continued to scale up. That's what's wild. But his deadlift, okay, deadlift is the one lift that, you know, doesn't really go up proportionally with body weight quite as much. And that is true in the case of Bronco, because if you look at his best deadlift, there is only a 12.5 kilo spread between his best deadlift across 6 weight classes. That was also quite shocking to me because, you know that deadlift, everyone knows, is a lift that, like I said, doesn't scale as much with body weight. It's a lot more leverage dependent. It is not uncommon for lifters to drop down a weight class and retain or even improve their deadlifts. It's no coincidence that we often see the biggest deadlifts done in about that 100-ish kilo body weight range, both on the tested and the untested side. But it's pretty crazy how he's kept his deadlift numbers so consistent. Like, even in his current super heavyweight state, his best deadlift is 265, which is only 5 kilos above what he did over a decade ago at almost half the body weight. And his biggest deadlift ever was done as a 105. So pretty insane there, and that just kind of goes to prove, in a very extreme sense, what we already knew, which is the deadlift, it doesn't really go up proportionally with body weight. If you look at his totals, though, they have gone up pretty proportionately, pretty steadily too. He's gotten a pretty significant boost each weight class he's moved up. So, I mean, he's obviously total-wise become a stronger powerlifter with each weight class he's moved up. I haven't done the coefficient math to see where he was the, I guess, best pound-for-pound powerlifter. I'm guessing it would have been somewhere in the maybe in the 105s, 83, 93. One of those middleweight classes, I think, is where it probably would be the best pound for pound. But I mean, he's the strongest he's ever been. He's 850 total, which is over 200 kilos more than what he was as a 74, with almost all those gains coming in the squat and bench, which is nuts. But yeah, there are his numbers. And Bronco Deiranauw, there he is, from a 74 to a 140 lifter. On the right is Jezo Wepa, who I mentioned before was the other guy from Nauru, the other well-known powerlifter from Nauru, who was, the arch rival of Ray Williams and was a world champion the year that Ray bombed out. And this guy, Bronco Deiranauw, literally morphed into Jezo Wepa. And I don't even know if, was it just Jezo Wepa's alter ego that he was lifting under the name Bronco Deiranauw as a super heavyweight? But I don't know. This has to be one of the most crazy transformations we've ever seen. Weight classes have been the talk of powerlifting lately, people moving up and down, but no one, and I mean no one, will ever do what this guy has done again.